Most content looks and sounds exactly the same, and you've got AI to blame for that. But there are actually 5 ways that you can create unforgettable content so you can protect yourself from AI and not get buried with everyone else. Number 1 is using humor. Now, AI currently isn't very good at humor. It's a bit like dad jokey when it comes to humor. It's a bit obvious and basic. So if you are able to use humor effectively in your content across your marketing, it can really help you stand out. Now, what AI can't do very well is pick up on kind of culture or nuance or things like that of jokes. And that's why brands like Innocent Smoothies work really well, because they have this kind of dry, British, cheeky humor that you can't really pinpoint very well. It's very unique to them. The same with, say, Wendy's on Twitter when they're kind of roasting people that tweet them. Again, it's very specific to them and very much in the culture of their brand. There's so many businesses that are doing this really well, and they're standing out on social media and in their content simply through being very funny in a way that AI can't possibly do. So number 2, tell very specific stories. Now, AI cannot tell your stories for you. What it often does and what people do is use AI to tell their stories, and what it can come up with is a lot of kind of cliched things that you've heard before, and it doesn't really stand out. So a story that people always tell is how they set up their business, and often when we set up our business, we don't have that much cash. So there's a little bit of a struggle, and people like to tell this story about how they set up, how they started, how it was a real struggle to begin with. But often when they tell that story, it is a little bit cliche. We kind of know how it goes. You know, they were on their best friend's sofa and they were sleeping on it. Then they started in their garage and then they went from there. But it's all, you know, some stuff we've heard before. So the way we tell this story is we really think back to where we were then and what kind of little details showed that we were really struggling. And you can think about this as well. So for example, for us, when we started our business, when we started our agency, Martin, my business partner and my husband, he couldn't afford a new suit. So we were really struggling for money. We couldn't afford a new suit to go out and meet clients in. But he did have a suit that he wore for work because he worked at a bank at the time. So what he did was he took his suit and he took a marker pen and he went over the logo on the front of the suit in this marker pen, and out he went to meet clients with it kind of marker penned over the logo. And everyone remembers that story. People come up to us and they keep saying, you know, oh, you went over your logo on your suit with a marker pen. I remember you saying that. It's something memorable. It's a little detail that no one else on this planet can come up with except you. And AI can't come up with that for you. You can use AI to help you form this story, but it has to come from your own experiences, those unique little details that only apply to you and that everyone will remember. Number 3, having strong opinions. Now, whenever you ask AI its opinion on something, it always sits on the fence. It never really tells you one way or another. It's still very diplomatic. So if you have a strong opinion about something, don't use AI to create that content around it, because what it'll do generally is it'll create very wishy-washy content that kind of is, you know, saying, oh, they might be right in this sense, but probably not in this sense. You know, if you have a really strong opinion on something, lay your flag in the sand and say, this is why this is right and this is why these people are wrong, and stay strong and firm behind it, because often that'll stand out much more than a kind of diplomatic wishy-washy way of putting things. So for example, we had a client who was kind of worried about putting his own political views out there. But once he did this, he actually found that it really galvanized his audience. So it really made them kind of love him even more because they fully supported what he was saying. Someone was out there kind of fighting for them in that sense, and that he was out there putting his head above the parapet and actually saying the things that they had been desperate for someone to say for them. And the people who didn't like what he was saying probably wouldn't buy from him anyway. So when you do this, when you put content out there that really does state what your opinion is, even if there are a lot of people opposing it, what you will find is that you will build more loyal fans and you'll create content out there everyone else is afraid to say, but you're the one who actually says it. Number 4, reactions to what's happening currently. And what I mean by this is what's happening currently in the news, what's trending, what's coming up that people are talking about or starting to talk about. Now, AI can't compete with this right now because it doesn't know what's happening in the moment and it can't really comment on that, but you can. So if you see something in the news or something that's trending that really does apply to your business and your audience, then you should be hopping on that as soon as possible, giving your views, telling people what they should expect in the future, how this changes things, whatever it might be. You should be getting on that as soon as possible and really being the first to comment on it. Because once you do that, you really do start to stand out from your competitors and also from AI content as well, because it can't simply keep up with that. So as soon as you see something come out that's applicable to you and your audience and your business, get on it straight away. Actually, one of our clients does this incredibly successfully, and that's one of the reasons why he's invited onto so many podcasts and stages, because he's there at the forefront of the conversation. While people are trying to figure out exactly what their opinion is on a subject, he's already out there saying, this is what this means, this is what impact it will have, this is how you should change things. He's really helping people by being there straight away, being the go-to person when something comes up that will impact his audience. Number 5 is being vulnerable in your content. And by that, I mean sharing things that really resonate with your target audience that perhaps make you feel a little bit uneasy to say, but you know is something that they really need to hear. So a good example of this is we actually wrote a book called Content Fortress, and the whole ethos of that book is essentially about protecting your mental health from difficult clients, from the struggles of running a business. Now, in that book, we had to detail the mental health struggles we'd had, all the difficulties we'd had running a business, all these things that had impacted us, and then we went on to say how content helped us prevent that. But to put that out there was really, really difficult to begin with, because we didn't want to say that we'd had difficult client situations and that they'd impacted our mental health. We didn't want to say that we'd struggled financially in the past with our business. We didn't want to say all these things because we thought it made us look weak, when actually what it did was it really helped us connect with our target audience, who finally found someone else who was saying the things that they were feeling. And once you're able to do that successfully, you'll have so many people coming up to you saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said exactly how you've been feeling. Thank you so much for doing that. And you'll build so much trust and loyalty if you're able to be just a little bit vulnerable in your content. So there you have it. Those are the 5 ways you can create content that will make you unforgettable and stand out from AI. Now, you don't have to use all of these. You can just use 1 or 2, just sometimes in your content. But if you do use these, I promise you, you'll start to build more trust and loyalty with them, and you'll start to see more leads and sales off the back of it. And if you want to dig a lot deeper into how exactly to get leads and sales from your video content, then I'm going to be hosting a webinar really soon on exactly that. And not only will you really understand what video to create in order to get more leads and sales, you'll also be able to ask me any questions about your business specifically and what you can really do, build your profile and get more consistent sales to your business. If you want to check that out, just have a look at the description below, and I've popped a link in there to the webinar.